Oh boy. Hi, Priscilla. Testing. 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 Okay, thank you, brethren. Thank you for joining me. My name is Shaikwab Ben Yisrael. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel for brethren who are known as faithists. I'm doing some cleaning up here while I'm trying to get myself together. Okay. This is a channel for brethren who are known as faithists. Faithists are brethren who are, they are brethren who can subscribe to the OAHSPE Bible, the OAHSPE Bible guidebook, a revelation that was only put out in the 1800s because the time has come for men to welcome the kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. The time has come. The last couple of videos I've been trying to share about the big picture, the Creator's big picture of his plan for man. To get man to grow to a point where, and that is on the earth with each other, sharing in peace, love, and happiness. And it's been a long process. And we are the generation who have been chosen to live at this point where we're now in the cosmic era. It's a new era where men are called to depart from the old way of believing and doing things. Not everybody can handle that, but it has to start somewhere. It just so happens the Creator is starting the cosmic era, the kingdom of heaven on earth. The kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. We are the generation as the Creator has chosen to get it all started. Up till now, he's allowed us to he's given us the witness of history to see how we would act when we were under different administrations and kingdoms of men, how we would act, what we would do. And our history it's been one of bloodshed, of division, and inequality. And the Creator has allowed that so that we can look back and say that the old way hasn't really worked. It's time for us to do something new. So we've grown up. We reached a point. We're ready now. We're ready to receive the newest revelation where the Creator is basically telling us, look, you've been in the house for 12 years. We put you through high school. We put you through elementary school, junior high school. It's time for you to go to college or go out into the work world and take on personal responsibility. And so basically, that's the big picture of everything. The earth is going to go on for, as far as I know, a few thousand more years. And I used to know, but I forget what happens when what the conclusion of the earth, the planet Earth, when the creator is finished with the purposes for the planet Earth. I forget what happens when what the timeline is for the earth. The OAHSPE tells you the timeline of the earth. And so the big picture is for us to grow up to spiritually mature, where we are spiritually mature in the flesh, which is corporal, and the spirit, which is spirituality, and with faith in the creator. The whole reality of everything past, present, and future is to get men to usher in the kingdom of the creator, where we realize the highest level of living that we were always meant to have. Now I'm kind of speed up a little bit. Here's the OAHSPE. These are the newest revelation from the creator, put out in the 1880s, where the reason why it's important is the creator is telling us things we never knew before. He's tearing down religion. He's not allowing any more intermediaries to intercede between him and his children, his people. He's selecting brethren who are ready to come into the light. And that's not to put leave anybody out. Every single person is going to make the resurrection at some point. So there's an order to everything. It's just like when you go to you go to an event or something, and they say, okay, everybody who's got this number, you come, you go first, and then everybody who's got this number, you go second. Everybody's got this number, you go third. And so it's the same way spiritually. It's the same way spiritually. All the creator, basically, one of the things I'm really learning is the creator is teaching us to follow your inner light, man. Learn to follow your inner light. And if you mean to do right, if you mean to do well, follow your inner light, man, because that's where the creator is. If the creator's done most of the work by telling us what the tetracts are, what the lower vibration is. Once you get them tetracts identified, you're home free, man. Now we know who to fight, who to do battle against, what they're keeping us from, which is the resurrection, which is everlasting. It's like the Bible says, glory. What does it call it? The Bible calls it, it mentions from glory to glory. From glory to glory. That's what this whole thing is all about. Faith has had the ability to believe that the creator, he has a plan for men to make the resurrection, which is to go from glory to glory to glory to glory to glory to glory. We can't even imagine that, but I believe it. Creation is still going on right now. The creator is undersold. He's really undervalued. He's misunderstood. He's what's the word for when you sell somebody short? And the flesh, that's how strong the flesh is. But I'm learning the highest lesson is to learn to follow your inner light. I believe that we're all created good, and we get corrupted one way or another. We learn to corrupt ourselves and to worship our lower vibration. Okay, here's the OAHSPE real quick here. Here's a 6-volume set that the Unknown Many have put together. If anybody, you're a little short on funds, maybe you can contact me. I'll send it to you for free. I just ask you don't take advantage of me. I'll send it to you for free. I love what the knowledge within the OAHSPE that the creator is giving to us now. It's the only hope for mankind. Here's a 6-volume set. If you want it, you need it, you're a little short on funds, I'll send it to you for free. And it'll be my pleasure. I just ask you don't take advantage of me. It's a 6-volume set. It's for people with short attention spans. It's written on the 3rd grade level. You open it up, and then you could just go from topic to 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 topic in hopes that you'll pick up the OAHSPE and you'll start to expand on your understanding. Expand. This is the only hope. I'm gonna go to something real quick here. I'm gonna move real fast here because it's something I want to talk about. And let me see. I don't even know if I had the 6-volume set on screen. I don't even know if I was showing it on screen. There's a 6-volume set right there. And you can get in touch with me if you're a little short on funds. You can get it on Amazon, 6-volume set. Now, here's the Universal Faithist of Cosman website. You can contact them for ministry and information. You can donate to them. They're doing a good work. There's a brother here. He's got an orphanage, and nobody's really he's really doing it all on his own, brother, PhD, Brother Kendall. And he's a faithist, man, And so you can go here, find out a little bit more about it. You can donate. And then here's some ministries that they have. All right. Meditation service, a healing basket, get together and pray for people, loved ones, OAHSPE, Bible conversations on Wednesday. And then if you look at the comment section, there's a Thursday brother who I really highly recommend that brothers. I highly recommend his ministry, man. Right now, he's flying under the radar. It's only like 3 or 4 people who make the Thursday study, where they just get together 40 minutes and then they just do they have intentions where they list, okay, who wants to pray for what? And then a brother will mention a prayer intention he wants to pray for. They type it out and then they put their voices together. That's the part I love right there. I don't participate. Them brother don't know. I spend my time praying for their strength, never to fail. I don't participate. I'm a silent observer right now, but I be sitting there praying for each of them brethren for their strength not to fail. Because in this world, people need recognition. They need notoriety. And one thing I wanted to talk about is the faithist lifestyle, what the Creator, he calls us to. It's not popular in the world. The Creator, the Creator is the only one who can legislate and test the human heart. And he uses time, man. He uses day after day after day after day after day after day after day and boredom and routine. And that's a good way to test the fruit of somebody's heart, man, whether they're legitimate or not. And here's let me get to this because I like to read it for anyone who's new to this channel, let you know who faithists are. There's something I really want to talk about, so I want to move kind of fast. So I like to read this to give you an idea of what is going on with the faithists, what the Creator is doing now in our world today. It says, what is a faithist? We have faith in the all-person. The collective wisdom that is without gender is faithist. We live by and follow these guidelines inspired by the OAHSPE Bible, the work of John Newbro. We understand that supremacy exists only in a weak and fearful mind. We strive to do good works in the Creator's name. We respect others' opinions with understanding and openness as long as their opinions do not diminish the dignity or free will of anyone. We are willing to accept differences from others with no bias. We treat others and ourselves with love and forgiveness. We are kind through our actions and whole being. We give others the freedom we all deserve. It is easy to demand free will, but it is challenging to allow others to exercise their free will. We are able to admit our mistakes and take responsibility for our actions. With these guidelines in mind, it is easier to understand that the foundation of faithism is the study and pursuit of Amrath and Aheba. Amrath means divine forgiveness. Aheba is unconditional love. For faithists, the cultivation of Amrath and Aheba are essential lessons on the path of soul growth. Many faithists adhere to a vegetarian or vegan diet to reduce suffering, but being vegan and vegetarian does not give anyone supremacy. So that's basically the marching orders for a faith. Is what we are, what we believe in. You can go to the website and read a little bit about our history and check out the archives. Now, I want to get to a conversation I had earlier. I really wanted to get to this, wanted to talk about this. Okay, I just thought it was just excellent. This discussion I had earlier today, right before, actually a little earlier today, and I certainly think that this is going to be great, man. This discussion here is going to be great. I had a discussion with somebody, and it had to do with something. It had to. I just loved it, man, because it has to do with life, man. It has to do with our reality here on the Red Star. And a question. There was a question. I realize that the name of the study is things found in the OAHSPE, but not in the Bible. I'm going to get to that. I'm not going to forget that. Okay, I'm going to get to that, but I want to get to this first, man. Now, like I said, I had discussion earlier with someone, man. Discussion blessed my soul because it helped me in my understanding of what it's all about. Now, it caused me to ask AI this question here: how would the OAHSPE describe how nope, that's not the one I wanted. There was another discussion. Here it is right here. It says, what does the Creator say in the OAHSPE when people constantly let you down and disrespect you? Okay. See, that's the thing, man, about the OAHSPE, man. The Creator, do you think there's a question he can't answer? You know what I mean? Do you really believe that there's some situation unique to you that the Creator, he doesn't know about beforehand, that why he allows things to happen in our life? You know what I mean? And so I wanted to ask this question: what would the Creator say about, what does the Creator say in the OAHSPE when people constantly let you down and disrespect you? And I already know beforehand it's a test. It's a test. It's a test. It's something for you to overcome, because it's easy for the flesh. It's easy we've been taught in the world to serve ourselves, to idolize ourselves. It says, according to OAHSPE, Jehovah the Creator speaks to this pain through the principles of non-resistance, self-discipline, inner light, and patient labor, rather than through direct condemnation of others or demands for justice. The book of discipline, especially chapters focused on mastering thoughts, building others up, and living the highest life, provides the core guidance. So, the things that I seem to learn that we most want, we have to pay a price for that. Faithism is paying a price. We got to pay a price. It's like, if you want to be in that community of people that you say you would love to be around, we got to pay a price. We have to pay the admittance fee, if I may use simplistic terms. We have to pay a price. He's got us here on the earth. We got people of different vibrations. A lot of vibrations don't go together. The Creator's saying, okay, now I want you to overcome the negative, lower vibration that's a part of you. I want you to overcome that. The only way you're going to overcome it is I have to put you to the test. I got to put you to the test, man. Jehovah's perspective in OAHSPE. Jehovah's perspective about people who constantly let you down and disrespect you. This is Jehovah's perspective. This is the Creator. He says Jehovah does not emphasize retaliation, withdrawal, and bitterness, or expecting perfection from people. Instead, he teaches that disappointment and disrespect from others are common in the school of resurrection. They test and strengthen the soul. Key related teachings include non-resistance. You remember that TV show Kung Fu? David Carradine, how he was always calm, but he could defend himself, and people really idolized the way he carried himself. He had this inner calm about him, and he only resorted to snapping somebody's neck in half whenever, now the creator, he don't even advocate that. I'm just trying to make a point that people really respected, the way he carried himself. It resonated with a lot of people. And spiritually, the creator is calling faithists to be the same way, except for the violence part, except for the resorting to, combat part, It's the same way for us. Non-resistance and endurance. OAHSPE repeatedly stresses non-resistance. See, this is just the most you know what I mean? This is foreign language to this world that we in. There's a big emphasis on male chauvinism in our society that we have grown up with. Be a man, don't take it, don't let him get away with that. Ever since we see the creator, he's flipping everything on his head. He's flipping everything, and it's a hard road. He dealing directly with your pride. He don't make no apologies. He says, hey, look, man, I got a resurrection. If you want to make it, you're going to have to pay the price. We got to pay the price, man. I don't want to sound harsh. Jehovah commands non-resistance and endurance, man. OAHSPE repeatedly stresses non-resistance, echoing Joshua and Jesus. When people let you down or show disrespect, do not repay with anger or vengeance. That's feeding the beast, man. Don't feed the beast. Don't feed the beast in yourself and in others, man. You asking for trouble. Don't feed the beast, man. When people let you down or show disrespect, do not repay with anger or vengeance. Don't feed the beast. Such reactions bind you to lower conditions. Instead, endure with patience, recognizing that others are also struggling in their own grade of light. The true faithist rises above by continuing to do good. Do you think the creator doesn't know that when he put us on the earth that he didn't know that we were going to face the things that we have to face? It ain't easy, man, dealing with yourself, letting other people get over on you. It ain't easy. It ain't easy, man. But the sooner you learn to get over letting others get to you like that, the sooner that anybody learns that lesson, guess what? That's called making a resurrection. If we, everybody knows, man, that if the creator showed us what the creator says, okay, hey, this is what you could be 1,000 years from now. Okay. And then he shows you, and you are in bondage to a false god, a deity, or you're in bondage to yourself, your lower vibrations, and you're stuck, you're stagnant, and he lets you look at others who have made the resurrection, and they're in their highest joy, their highest bliss. They live in worlds that you can only imagine, you wish you could be in, but you can't because of your own choosing. He shows you people who make the resurrection. They overcame themselves. And now they enter into the joy of the Lord, like the Bible says. You must pay a price, man. And the price is you, yourself, letting go of you, letting go of that lower nature, letting go of others' ability to keep you bound to the earth. If the Creator showed us 1,000 years from now, and he says, okay, I'm going to give you a choice. You could either make the resurrection, in which case you will live here, and then he shows you, or he says you decide to see, you know what? Now look, I want to show you something I posted in the room that it really helps me make my point, but I don't want to get away from this. Let me try to get through this, and then I want to show you something real quick. It says, focus on your own light. Focus on your own light. This is what our purpose on the earth is trying to teach us. That's why we got to go through people with different vibrations. Their vibrations rub you the wrong way. Each of us got something. Each of us got our own, what's a good word for tribulation to overcome, you know? The Creator says the solution is focus on your own light. When you're dealing with people who disrespect you and who treat you bad, who refuse to recognize you, they do not recompense you for the good that you do. The Creator said, don't get upset with them. Don't get angry. You just learn from it. Hold to the path of non-resistance and endurance. Focus on your own light. Joby says, in essence, through the book of discipline, look to the highest. Look to the highest. Look to the highest in your neighbor when possible, but do not dwell on their lower manifestations. The all highest in thy neighbor, which he manifests, the all highest in thy neighbor, which he manifesteth, that perceive and discourse upon it. In other words, try to find something in people you can build them up with. Always, always, always look for that. Always try. And that perceive all the all highest, the all highest in thy neighbor, which he manifests, that perceive and discourse upon. All else in him, see not, nor mention. Your inner, and man, do I wish I could learn that, man. You know, I heard that, you know. Your inner bitterness is known fully only to your own heart, as it says in Proverbs 14:10. Do not let strangers' actions rob your joy or pull you into vexation or into vexation of spirit. That's the whole marching order for faith, this man. If you somehow can have the ability to look 100 years in the future, where you've made the resurrection, man, you say to yourself, man, it was hard going through what I went through back then, but I'm glad I did it. It was only a temporary thing. It was only a temporary thing I had to burn only for a season. It's something somebody did to me, said to me, treated me. I only had to take it for a little bit, man. And then it got to the point it had no more effect on me. It had no more effect on me. But you need something to believe in order to have that strength. You need to know there's something better that's not worth risking it. It's the same principle in the world. If somebody can steal from you in this world, they'll do it. If somebody can steal from you, they'll do it. This is a high crime world where people will steal. That also includes your resurrection. And false gods know that. Don't you think they know? Don't you think they want to keep their kingdom populated? They want to keep their kingdom populated. How are they going to do that? By getting at you. Getting at you. The more they can keep you in that anger and that low vibration where, you're offended, you want to get back at somebody. You keep, they keep bringing you down. They make you negative, man. They're accomplishing false gods, or they're jumping up and down for joy. This world is structured, man. It's like the Creator says, man, it's like climbing a mountain. It's like climbing a mountain. Man. How else are we going to learn, man, without opposition, without friction? The anonymous ox principle, this goes back to something that I was asking about earlier in another study. And so when you use AI like this, they like to join what you asked about earlier to a study that you are inquiring about presently. And I asked about something that had to do with um, Proverbs 14, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Proverbs 14. And it had something to do with the ox, man. The ox. The creator, he uses the ox. Well, it's in the Bible, but it's a good principle, man, of how we should be. The ox. The ox. You know, the ox, man. The ox. The characteristics of, if we could all be oxes, man, we would be home free. You know, the ox, man, the anonymous ox principle. You know, the ox, man, you know, the ox. I got a picture of when I was in high, you know, see, here go my junior high photo. Yep. That's when I was in junior high school. Yeah, that's what I used to look like. And then I went to the prom. There go my prom picture. See, that's me on the right, my woman on the other side. See, and then an old man, and I found out about the OAHSPE, and I began to look like that. See, the ox, man, the ox. Now, why am I harping on the ox, man? You know, because of the attributes of the ox. The attributes of the ox, man. You know, continue your humble labor even when others fail or disrespect you. The ox plows in anonymity and mess, producing increase despite hardship. The ox, man. The ox. Look at him, man. You know, he works, you know, he produces, man. You know, I'm going to get to the ox a little later on, too. The creator said, be like the ox, man. Continue your humble labor, even when others fail or disrespect you. The ox plows in anonymity and mess, producing increase despite hardship. Jehovah honors the quiet, persistent servant who keeps working for the upliftment of others without demanding reciprocity or recognition. See, the ox don't demand reciprocity or recognition. Disappointment becomes fuel for greater discipline and resurrection. So the creator is saying, have a different outlook, man. You know, have a different outlook when you're in the world. Realize that the world is a school to strengthen your spirit, man. Strengthen, and your spirit is going to be with you thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years from now. Your spirit, man. If you value the eternal, don't let anything come near it, man. Don't let anything, it ain't work. You would be kicking yourself day and night, man, if you had, here you are, and this is a true spiritual principle, I'm ready to say. This is the truth. The creator warns that you could spend hundreds or thousands of years stagnated in the spiritual. You could spend hundreds or thousands because of something you did or the track record you set while you were on earth. Those little itty bitty 60, 70, 80, 90 years you did on the earth has got you paying the consequences hundreds and thousands of years. You stagnated. Not to scare you or anything, but it's going to be of your own choice. You know, when you choose to worship yourself or a deity, the creator, he don't interfere with that. He don't interfere. He let you have your way. But the creator says, if you want to join, if you want to be married to me, this is how to do it. Master lower thoughts. Master them. Get hold of them things, man. Them are the things that cause people to be offended, to be angry, want revenge, negative, lower thoughts. And those come from Druges, spirits who did not make the resurrection as of yet in the lower heavens, influencing mortals, putting thoughts in our mind, doing whatever they can to keep us on a low vibration, to keep us serving the lower self. The book of discipline teaches controlling reactions like resentment, self-pity, or judgment. Turn disappointment into self-mastery. I love something that Mike Tyson said. He said the key to what did he say? He said something like he learned to love hate or something like that. Let me see. He said he learned to love what he hated, in the sense that he loved to practice or something like that. He loved to practice. He hated it, but he learned to love it. I don't know. It's weird. He said, you get my drift, right? He learned to love what he hated. And it's the same way for us. If we, I don't know. I ain't making no point. I'm trying to say that we have to, it's like the creator is saying, instead of fighting what it is that's, fighting fire with fire, turn it around until it has no more effect on you. It can happen. That's what we're called to do. Don't let things have that effect on you. Turn it around. Turn it around. See it for what it is until it has no more effect on you. You keep practicing it, and the effect, it dissolves. It dissolves. It dissolves. And it's like, if you read the Bible, the Jesus of the Bible said that Satan cometh and he hath no more, he said, Satan cometh. He says, and he has no more in me, or something like that, where he couldn't find a way. He couldn't get him in the flesh. If that, get at him. He couldn't, set him off. Satan couldn't, he had no more that he could, make him mad or get him to be out of character, or he couldn't influence him anymore. Creator saying, master your lower thoughts. The book of discipline teaches controlling reactions like resentment, self-pity, or judgment. Turn disappointment into self-mastery. Turn it around. Use it to deepen your direct communion with Jehovah rather than relying on unreliable people. Patience and forbearance build constitutional holiness. Patience and forbearance. Patience and forbearance. I believe that in my heart, man. If that we just keep on having the same righteous thoughts, It's the same, under the same righteous influences and inspiration, these things become fixed in our soul, our spirit, constitutional. Patience and forbearance, man. Patience and forbearance. You just teach your mind, teach yourself on a daily basis, man, beginning with your thoughts, what's right. And it becomes constitutional. That's how you become a different person. Jehovah's broader voice in OAHSPE across books like ES, which is Spirit, and Discipline, is compassionate yet firm. Have faith in thy Creator. Labor for others. Build up rather than tear down. Persist in higher light. He reminds souls that in the cosmic era, old dependencies on people, creeds, or external validation give way to inner strength and universal brotherhood. Not all will respond to light in this lifetime. Some will continue in lower ways, but your path is to keep ascending regardless. So there's our marching orders right there, There's your marching orders, man. The vibrations that we experience on a daily basis, they either going in accord with the vortex or they're going against it. You could see it clearly. That's where your choice is. That's where your choice is, man. Do you want to go with the flow, meaning with the righteous inspiration influences in your soul? Or do you want to go against it and serve yourself and lash out and follow the beast kingdom? Every day, man, we got them choices. And the more you choose life, man, that's one more chip off the old block, Practical response, according to OAHSPE, do practical response to people who disrespect you and let you down. I know this is like eating liver, this message, man, Well, we don't eat liver, but the practical response, according to OAHSPE, man, this is how we respond. Faith is when people disrespect us or they let us down. The Creator said, do not cast the first stone or dwell on faults. Do not cast the first stone or dwell on faults. Continue serving and laboring humbly. Protect your inner joy and light. Limit entanglement with those who repeatedly drag you down, but without hatred. If you come across a brother or sister, man, and their vibration, it troubles you, don't, cut them loose, man. That's what, in my mind, my light says, cut that association. Cut that association. If I'm dealing with a contrary vibration, drags you down, you don't have to hate them, but it's all right to depart, Protect your inner joy and light, man. Limit entanglement with those who repeatedly drag you down, but without hatred. Transform pain through discipline. Listen to the voice within for comfort and direction. I like thinking about something that's good and right, man, that you're able to do well, or that's something you have done. When attacks come on your mind, on your soul, attacks, to serve the beast, to feed the beast, I found something that really helps, man. And you come up with something in your mind, something that you have done, or just some good understanding you had that bless your soul. That's how you fight. That's how you fight the beast, man. That's how you fight them, man. And you just keep that in your mind, keep it in your mind, you keep it in your mind, and then that beast just runs away from you. Most of the time I win. Sometimes I lose. You know, that beast, when they come around and say, hey, Iquab, man, they got a sale on today, you know, New York strip steak, brother. Mashed potatoes on the side too with gravy, you know. I just come up, man. I just look, I call up something, in my mind, something that I've learned, or it blessed my soul, and I just hold it, and then all of a sudden that vibration, it just fall off, you know. That vibration just fall. That's how you fight, man. Fight the power, right? Fight the power that be, you know. Fight the power, man. Call something to mind, something somebody told you. They say, hey man, thank you for giving me this or that, or something you did, or you read something, man, and it caused you to give thanks to Creator, and when them attacks come, man, that's how you fight. That's how you fight, man. Even if you only know one thing, you can fight, and you just keep on swinging, man. And then that vibration, it'll dissolve. Now I'm speaking from experience now, experience. When somebody disrespects you and dishonors you, trust the long view of resurrection. The long view, man, all souls eventually progress, and your patient example may help uplift them later. In summary, Jehovah would say, do not be overcome by their darkness, meaning those who disrespect you, who dishonor you, who mistreat you. Don't be overcome by their darkness. Keep your light steady. Labor on in humility, non-resistant. Draw closer to Jehovah. Your increase comes not from their faithfulness, but from your own alignment with my everlasting light. This turns repeated disappointment into a pathway for greater soul growth rather than vexation. This aligns with all the previous themes we've discussed: the ox, anonymous work, personal inner experience, moving beyond vanity, choosing the highest light in cosmic. The good old ox, man. The ox, man. Yep. The ox. He just keep working, man. Rain, sun, mud. He just keep on pushing. The ox. That's what the Creator, he said, man, follow the example of the good old ox. Just keep laboring, man. Just hold to that light. Learn the light. Hold on to it. Now, I posted something that I want to share about negativity. I hope you like this, man. I really hope you like this. I posted this the other day, and it struck me. Every now and then, like, I like to post every strike me. And wouldn't you know it, it's not going to, okay, there we go. Now, this is from the 6-volume set. And I was sharing this the other night, man, and it caused me to think the price of negativity. There was a couple of posts on negativity. It says, and since from disintegration of the compact between the Creator and his children, and since from disintegration of the compact between the Creator and his children, the cord of communication is cut off with the exalted kingdoms in Etheria. They have indeed double grounds for disbelief, nor can they comprehend how others can be believers in the all person, much less have faith in him. Now, this is jumping in the middle of a thought, okay? And it's making a point, though, that there's two kingdoms. You can say there's two kingdoms. There's positivity, negativity. And then the other post is what really caused me to really, to think, man, It says, the price of negativity, part 3. It says, and the same rule applies to individuals also. The same rule that applies to individuals also applies to communities and to kingdoms. Communities and kingdoms. In regard to the fall, which is consequent to unbelief in an all person. This covers a lot of things, man. The Creator, he can say so little, but then say so much. He can say, that's one thing about the OAHSPE, man. You know, the way he could just say a little, he just packs these verses with you can go so many directions with the little bit that he says. He says, for a community becomes one person. He says, for a community becomes one person, kingdom in Etheria becomes one person. A community becomes one person, Etheria becomes one person. A kingdom in the lower heavens becomes one person. You know what that's saying? You know what? It kind of goes along with this verse that I skipped past. It really goes along with this right here. You know? First, the nail was lost, and then the whole ship went down. Basically, it's just saying that once the first thing goes, then the rest is soon to follow, you know? That's basically all it's saying right here. It's just like that verse in the Bible where it says the little foxes spoil the vine, you know? The little foxes, man. First, it's a little thing, and then all of a sudden, it's a catastrophe. You know, now here we're talking about negativity. Negativity, man, you know? There's a price to that. It's a part of the kingdom, is what it's saying here. You know, if you're under this, you belong to that kingdom. A community. See, look, for a community becomes one person. That's the influence that negativity can have, is what it's saying. First, the nail was lost, and then the whole ship went down. Do you know, matter of fact, if you got one guy in like an army, I read this somewhere, one negative attitude can influence the whole, group. Just one. One guy, man, can turn he could turn the attitude of the whole, group. This is what it's saying here. For a community becomes one person. It's like follow the leader. Kingdom in Etheria becomes one person. Means they are all the same way, man. They're all the same way, Now, Etheria is joy beyond imagination. Etheria is blessing among, it's like Etheria, and there are realities above Etheria, if I'm not mistaken. Nirvana, the Oetians, if I'm not mistaken, a kingdom in the lower heavens becomes one person. A kingdom, state, nation on earth becomes one person. The Creator, he pointing to a source. The most important thing is the source of a thing, with each and every kingdom being a single figurehead. And for as many of these kingdoms as become united with each other, they also become one person, being single figurehead of many parts, which is the perfection of each and every individual. So the mixing, it says these kingdoms become united with each other. They also become one person, meaning basically that's the situation we are in right now. We're here, we're on the earth, we're a mixed kingdom. But the plan of the Creator is the resurrection of all men. The resurrection, perfection of each and every man. Okay, count now, top of the hour, so now I can get to the study. The name of the video is things that are in the OAHSPE but not in the Bible. You see? Interesting study, man. Things that are not, and I believe faithists, they know this, you know. Faithists already, you know all these things, you know. Now let me change the screen here. Give me a second if you would, so I can bring up the study. You know, man, it was a good day for me, man. It was a great day. Everything. The Creator hit me with so much. I hope it's the same for you, brethren, man. It's like you get a little grief, and then all of a sudden, everything just there's a your cup overfloweth, man. You know, I found a house here in Tucson. I can pay for it outright. You know, have it equipped for a disabled person. The VA sent me to a care facility. It's 100% better. You know, I mean, just everything, man. You know, I believe the Creator, He does that, man. You know, if you are like that ox, you know, brother, you got good things coming, man. You know, you follow that inner light help you to stand on your own. If you have to, the inner, you follow, you learn to trust your inner light, man. You mean to do right. You want to do right. The Creator says, okay, here's the template. Follow this template. I know you want to do right. I know it. You just need knowledge. Okay, this is how you do it. You keep doing that. Don't worry. You just keep on doing that, man. You know, you follow this template here, and it's going to be all good. It's going to be all good for you, man. You just don't worry about, you know, follow that. You know, I'm teaching you to follow your inner light, and that's going to lead you right into the upper heavens. You just follow that inner light, man. You know, I know you want to do what's right. That's why I gave you the OAHSPE. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the template. You know, and you just follow that, even when it seemed like, you know, the whole world is against you. You just follow that. You know, what are some things the OAHSPE talks about that the Bible does not? See, this ought to get the attention of Christians. And the same thing for the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita and the Emerald Tablets and the Rancha book and the Keys of Enoch and any other book you can name, man. You know, what about the fact that the OAHSPE mentions things that those books have no knowledge of? Doesn't that tell you that there's something afoul here? That the Creator, that false gods, that they didn't realize the Creator was going to make these things known and expose them that way? That, at the very least, should tell you, man, that the Creator is not, He doesn't stagnate, you know? He doesn't meaning He doesn't just have one thing and that's it forever. One book and that's it forever. One way and that's it forever. You know, like in Christianity, it says, I am the way, the truth, and the light. And the way that plays on people's minds is, okay, He ain't never going to change from what we got right now. We got this here Bible, and it can't never be nothing after that. And that's where you stagnate, so that when the OAHSPE comes around, you can't receive it. Only those, the light bearers of the earth, the faithists, they're the only ones who can receive. They're ready to go into the marriage supper of the Lamb. Not to sound like we leaving anybody out, but you don't want this. You don't want it. You don't want this thing here. And we can't force it on you. you going to make the resurrection at some point. It might not be while you're on the earth, but you're gonna make it. It's just that the faith to say, hey man, I'm getting in the express lane. I'm just getting the express lane, I'm gonna get in the express lane, man, of the resurrection. I'm gonna get on the expressway. I'm gonna do it while I'm on the earth, man. What are some things OAHSPE talks about that the Bible doesn't? In simple terms, here are some of the most important things OAHSPE discusses that the Bible either does not mention at all or treats very differently. One, extremely detailed spirit world structure. You would think the Bible would talk about something like that. The levels, the layers of heaven, the things that go on there, the people who populate these places. The OAHSPE extremely detailed spirit world structure. Many layered heavens. First resurrection, second resurrection, Ethereal worlds, far above the earth with organized governments run by advanced angels, gods and goddesses who serve for specific cycles of thousands of years. The Bible doesn't mention that, doesn't talk about that. Or the fact that spirits have specific grades of light and progress through realms after death. The Bible is much more general about heaven and hell, Druges and detailed spirit types. The Bible, the OAHSPE, it talks about druges and detailed spirit types. This is a hell of a thing to know here, man. This is one hell of a thing to know. Druges are low, dark, selfish spirits that stay near the earth. And they attach to living people, causing problems. The toxic ones we talked about. You got people on the earth, man. Low, dark, selfish spirits that stay near the earth and attach to living people, they cause problems, man. Toxic ones. Hard to get along with people. People who you meet them and immediately you got a troubled vibration from them. You get a troubled vibration. You want to get away. Another thing the OAHSPE talks about that the Bible doesn't, other classes of detailed spirit types like fetals. Bible don't mention these things. I wonder, why is that? Vampires, spirit ones. Engrafters. OAHSPE explains how they influence the living in detail. So that movie Ghost had a lot of spiritual truth in it, man. There are a lot of spiritual movies and books that they talk about realities, the spiritual realities, but the Bible doesn't. You would think the Bible would. The nine entities. Jehovah works through 9 major forces, entities. Jehovah, Te, Corpor, S, which is spirit, Uz, which is destruction, Cephas, which is that which is established, and then Cosmin. We've covered Cephas, old enforced systems, and Cosmin, current new age. That's the major forces that brought us up, mankind, from childhood, from infancy to adulthood, Cosmin. And the stages of consciousness. Jehovah, creation, Te, consciousness, corpor, physicality, S, spirit, spirituality, Uz, destruction, Cephas, enforced, that which is enforced upon man to learn and to do, like religion. And then cosmin, spiritual maturity, the joining together of spiritual and physical, cosmin, where we are right now. The Bible doesn't give deep ancient history and the lost continent of Pan. It talks about the flood, but it doesn't talk about the deep ancient history and the lost continent of Pan. And even the flood account is wrong. That's, the flood account. The OAHSPE, it gives a 70,000 year history of Earth, including the sinking of the huge continent of Pan, often compared to Atlantis or Mu, and many forgotten civilizations and prophets. The Bible's timeline and history are much shorter and more focused, like the Earth is 6,000 years old or 12,000 years old or something like that. That's amazing, ain't it? Vortex cosmology. The Bible doesn't talk about vortex cosmology. Creation science. A whole book of cosmogony, explaining how planets, atmospheres, and life form through spinning vortices, which is vortexia, and spiritual forces. This is far more detailed and different from Genesis. Far more detailed and different from Genesis. Strict veganism as spiritual law. The Bible doesn't talk about veganism. Matter of fact, it condones meat eating of meat and sacrificing of animals. Eating meat keeps the spirit low and attracts dark influences. True faithists should eat only plants. The Bible permits meat in many places. That's a hard deal, man, for the earth. That's a hard one for the earth, man. It's hard on me. But the Creator is amazing, man. It's amazing how you think you can't do something until you do it. You do it, man. Here's a big one right here, man. Gods and lords is temporary offices. Temporary offices. Wow. God and Lord are titles for advanced angels who rule for a season, a cycle. Gods and lords. It's kind of like presidents. Vice president. Titles. But we've got it ingrained that it's pointing to people. False gods, they've turned it so that you think of people. A man. And it's only a title, man. There are many Ethereans who are gods. They come and they're God for a while. Having responsibility for the red star, the earth. They got responsibility for the red star. Gods. Practical communal living in Shalem. Bible doesn't talk about this. Oh, I didn't read the rest. It said God and Lord are titles for advanced angels who rule for a season, a cycle. Not the eternal creator, Jehovah. Many old religions were started by false gods. This differs from the Bible's portrayal. Many old religions were started by false gods. This differs from the Bible portrayal. And it's important to point out the lawgivers are the original sources of religion. The lawgivers, Poe, Chinea, Iwata, Abraham, Moses, Sakea, Confucius, same thing, are really the inspiration for religion until they got corrupted, until they were corrupted by false gods. Practical communal living and Shalem. The Bible doesn't cover practical communal living in Shalem. For a little bit in Acts, it talks about communal living, little bit, tiny bit, in Acts chapter 2 or whatever that community was. Detailed instructions for building peaceful communities like Shalem colony, where people raise orphans together, practice communal living with no personal property or war. All right. Other unique ideas that are not found in the Bible. Developing suis, higher spiritual senses, psychic perception to see and hear the spiritual world. Now, I can only imagine. I know that there are brethren that can do that. They have that ability to see the spirit world. Some brethren have that ability. There's different videos of brethren who can do that. I imagine it takes time. I'd like to do that. I'm trying right now to learn to meditate and concentrate. I feel like sometimes I make progress. Most of the time, I don't think I do. I think that when it comes to hearing the inner voice, I think that I'm making progress in that area. Making yourself just be quiet and concentrate to the best of your ability on your inner light, what the Creator is telling you. And it basically has to do with righteousness, from what I can understand right now. Righteousness, the inspiration to righteousness and endurance and patience. That's basically all I can hear right now. The encouragement, the endurance to your inner light, man. That's the voice I hear the strongest, man, the silent voice. Yaquab, trust your inner light. I know you want to do right. I know, man, Don't let other people pull you here and there and say, you should be doing it my way, or you should be thinking my way. You got it wrong. Don't listen to your inner light and learn, read, get knowledge, and build your inner. Listen, I'm talking to you. You just stay just like the ox, man, Just stay on that road. Listen, your inner light. I gave everybody, a lot of people snuff out the inner light, Other unique ideas that the OAHSPE talks about that the Bible doesn't. Developing suis, higher spiritual senses, psychic perception to see and hear the spirit world. I think that a lot of us have that and we don't even know it. If you be honest, if I were to be honest with you, I think a lot of brethren, they have this and they don't even know it, Like I was talking earlier about, some spirits, you come into contact with them and immediately, man, all your alarms go off. Your alarms go off to say, be careful, be careful, be careful, watch it, be careful, danger, danger, I get that when I'm dealing with people sometimes, I have to think that's the same way. I think the Creator don't just leave us defenseless. I'm beginning to really feel that way now since the Creator has helped me to understand spirituality on a deeper level. that is for real, it really exists. All souls eventually progress upward, meaning universal salvation through growth and service, not eternal hell for most. It should be for all. The Bible does not talk about strong, but there's some, the New Testament is better at this than the Old Testament. Strong emphasis on service to others as the main measure of spiritual growth. Baby summary. When I do these studies, I like to ask for the studies to, in baby terms. It says the Bible focuses on key prophets, moral laws, one main salvation story, and a simpler view of the afterlife. OAHSPE is like a giant behind the scenes manual for the whole universe with maps of heavens, long lost history, how spirits really work and get stuck. Look at that. Spirits get stuck, man. You know, how spirits really work and they get stuck. Man, we got to think, man. Oh, man, we got to think, man, because we are talking about things, man, that it should cost $1 million to listen to this type of stuff, have this type of information. This is priceless, man. You know, we live in a world and the earth is just taking people further and further away. Why? Because the earth is, problems are increasing. You know where I'm going, right? When problems arise, people lose any focus they had on spirituality. They lose, just like, you know, an interesting thing, if I may digress, man, for a second. An interesting thing, I went to the community care. It's like the hospital. You know, have my bandages rewrapped, my legs. I got bandages on my legs. You know, I'm in a power chair. Been in it for a while. When you're in a power chair, your legs, they swell. You know, so I have to have compression wrappings put on. You know, and blah blah blah. Right. So I had an appointment today. Went in. Nurses were talking to me, and Creator said before I went in, have a good attitude, Yaikwa. Don't let any little thing throw you off, you know. That's when I got in the van. When I got in the van to go, the Creator said, don't remember you on the red star, okay? Lately, you've been letting things get to you. I mean, now that leads me to another story. 2 days ago, to show you, brother, man, the spirit realm, man, the lower angel, the Drujas, man. I went out to my van. The whole parking lot was clear. Just my van out there in the parking spot, the handicap spot. Just my van. I'm late for my appointment. I get to my van. I got a side entry. You know, there's a ramp that comes out the side of my van. You know, I let it out. I roll up into it, a driveway. I get to my van. The apartment maintenance vehicle has got me blocked. All of the whole parking lot was empty. I mean, there was not a car in sight, man. I mean, there were, you know what I mean? But and of all the places he parked right next to my van. See? Right next to my van. And I couldn't let the ramp out. I couldn't let it out. I was late. And I was fit to be tied, man. And the guy, about 10 minutes later, came running out. He saw me sitting there waiting for him to come back. And I started screaming at him, you know. And immediately, man, I knew I lost the battle. I knew it, you know. Screamed at him, cursed at him, you know. I said, man, of all the places that you had to park, you park right next to my van to where I can't get into it. The guy said, I'm sorry. I said, man, and that just made me madder, that just made me madder, man. And then I knew I was going to get it then, in the sense that when you let the door open, other things come in, you know, just like the Bible says, man, where, what does it say? Y'all remember the story about the unclean spirit when it departs out of a man, The unclean spirit, when he leaves a man, he goes and searches for, what does it say? When the unclean spirit departs out of a man, he goes and searches for rest and findeth none. And then he saith, I will return from whence I came. And then when he comes back to the man, he finds it swept and garnished. The man done been cleaned up, but he didn't replace it with anything. So they go and get 7 other more spirits, and the last state of that man is worse than the first. So I knew when I lost that battle, man, then I was in for a whole day full of battles, man. A whole day full of battles, Other spirits, all right, Yaikwa, be in the flesh. Let's go get him. Go, everybody, bring your friends too. Let's get him. It's like them dominoes start falling fast, man. If you once you let your guard down, then they all come running for you, And I went to the I forget, man. I went to the hospital, I asked the nurse to do one little simple thing. She said no. And I had to, it took every fiber of my body not to choke her. I knew it was coming, man. I knew it was coming. I knew it's a spiritual reality, man. It's real. It's real, man. And in Radiance Anthology, them angels say, man, when you get in that vibration, we can't come running to you. Be careful of that vibration, man. We can't, they outnumber us, and we can't come, and they start knocking us out. We coming to try to help you, Once they get you, man, and then a couple of things happened today. And I fought today. I fought, man. I fought. I learned my lesson, man. When them unfortunate instances of life come, when them unfortunate, I got in my car and immediately, I was leaving the parking lot today and somebody came right up on me, man. Like, get out of the way, So I got out of the way, I got on the street, how you have to get into traffic, cut in, and I was, I turned to get into ongoing traffic, and there was a car that was speeding and got right up behind me and started blowing the horn, So I got out of the way, But see, I was ready. I was on guard. The Creator let me know when I got in the van. Now remember, you on the red star, you on the earth. You know what's coming, right? You know it's coming. I said, yes. I said, Joby, I know it's coming. I'm ready. I'm ready this time, And then the rain fell, the winds blew, but the house did not fall because it was founded on a rock, man. It was founded on a rock, It was founded on the rock, man. I went to the battle prepared this time. I put on the armor before I went to battle. Whereas the other day, I I was late. I bum rushed it out to my van, and immediately they said, sucker ain't got no armor on, you know, and that's the spiritual life, man. That's the spiritual life, man. False gods do not play fair. Drugians, man, anything to get you. Hey, come join us over where we are, Come with us, man. Stay in that low vibration. We got a party over here, stagnating, can't make the resurrection. Don't nobody care about it anyway. Spiritual realities, man. The Bible focuses on key prophets, moral laws, one main salvation story. Yep, that's so true, man. That's what hooks a lot of people. Moral laws, morality. When you teach people morality, it takes away their judgment. They think that's the highest a man can go. You put the Creator in a morality box as if he can't tell you no more knowledge. You put him in a morality box. We got the Bible. Can't nobody tell us anything higher. We know what morality is. You know what it is, but you cannot follow it. When you have bloodshed, children dying, and you have bombs falling, and you have armies and standing armies and militaries, and you say you're moral, you say that you're spiritual, the Bible focuses on that because false gods, they know. It's easy to get men's allegiance. Just talk to him about something he is not, that he knows in his soul is good. Just talk to him. Just tell him something that he knows is right in his heart, and then you got him. You got him. He'll be hooked to you forever, man, because he knows what you said is right, and nobody else will tell him. But you told him, so he'll never leave you now. He'll never leave you. He'll be with you forever. That's a quirk in the human psyche, man, so that can't no more knowledge enter into you. Can't no more knowledge enter into you, The Bible focuses on key prophets, moral laws, one main salvation story, and a simpler view of the afterlife. The OAHSPE is like a giant behind-the-scenes manual for the whole universe with maps of the heavens, long-lost history, how spirits really work and get stuck, rules for the new cosmic age, and the scientific explanation of creation. These are the standout, unique areas. All right, so that's the study for what is in the Bible, what is in the OAHSPE, what are some things that the OAHSPE talks about that the Bible does not. And then it lists some things. And it's interesting the way we could talk till we're blue in the face about, you could all day just ask a Christian, well, what about, tell me how, have you ever heard, who influences people? And there's some things they may get, they may get some, because they'll get the question, it'll give the answer in a sense, it'll help guide them to some type of where they can form an answer. But let's say the 9 entities, and see, you ask somebody, you talk to them about the plan of the Creator and how he takes his consciousness from this level to the, he grows man's conscious up from then until now. To ask, you ask somebody, how does the Creator raise man, and they would be stuck to say he puts them on the earth and then he gives them parents and then, they grow up. And then you say, but overall, what is the macro plan of the Creator for man? Something like that. A faith can form many, many questions to try to reach a Christian to let them know, hey, look, man, there's things that you should know that you don't right now. That's all. We want to interest you in higher knowledge. Higher knowledge. That's all. Not to put you down or anything, but to encourage you. So that's it for that study right there. There is another study that I think you might enjoy that I'm going to do for this last hour. It's Proverbs 14. Proverbs 14. And I just thought it was great the way I was on video the other day, and I mentioned this verse right here. I mentioned it without giving the book, chapter, and verse. I mentioned it. I just mentioned it. And then that night or a night later, the inspiration came on me to look at Proverbs 14. And there was the verse that I was referring to on video to make a point, another point. A couple of nights later, I was talking. I said something about where the oxen are or something like that, or the ox, and I didn't say the chapter and verse, and I just said it on video to make a point, and then a couple of nights later, I was sitting down and I was led to look at Proverbs 14, and lo and behold, wouldn't you know it, man, there it talks about the verse that I was sharing on video without meaning to talk about it tonight. I just looked at Proverbs 4. I said, let me go ahead and do a study on Proverbs 14. And there was the verse. Spiritualism, man. Spirituality, man. There's some element to it that's it's just real, man, So I seen this verse in the I've seen this verse and immediately began to think I should look at this, do a little study on it. I don't know what's going to come out of it. Look at it. Maybe the creator has something in mind that I don't see or know about, but I should talk about it. So got a little less than an hour here. So let me just talk a little bit about Proverbs 14 and see what happens. The verse that I was focused on a couple of days ago had something to do with where no oxen are, the crib is clean. Okay. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean. But much increase is by the strength of the ox. Now, according to OAHSPE, this verse in Proverbs 14:4, it illustrates the balance between ease, order, and productive labor effort in spiritual as well as material life. A clean but empty crib, manger, or stall represents sterility and lack of increase, while the presence of oxen, despite the mess and work involved, brings abundance through strength and service. Telling you, man, if this is a mindset that we could put on, not to seek the things of the flesh while holding to the light, that is, we want to be free, man. I posted something the other day, man. I posted something the other day about what being free is, according to the OAHSPE. I don't know if y'all remember. It talked about when the spirit leaves the body. For a faithist, how when the spirit leaves the body, you go wherever your mind wants to go. You go wherever your mind wants to go. Now, the flip side of that is if you are tied to the earth, are you tied to yourself? You worship yourself, you worship the earth, you're under a deity, you're under the flesh, you're under materialism, then you stay tied to the earth. You stay tied to the earth. You can liken that to a clean crib, there where no labor is. A clean crib, man, Faithists are called to produce fruit, man. Produce fruit. Produce fruit, man. You know, fruit of faith. Fruit of the ox, man. Increase. Bring abundance through strength to us on the earth that help us to our spirit. We talked about it a little earlier. The afflictions of life, little vexations of life, the instances of life, the things that can make you mad. Those are opportunities. Those are everyday opportunities, man. And then you go on and develop an immunity to that. You develop it happens so much, man. You know, it's the spiritual, it's the lower influences. You know, it's no different than when you on the street and there's someone, a devil with a red suit and horns and a pitchfork coming up to you, say, "Hey, man, I need to go ahead and vex you today." You know, it would be a lot easier that way because you would say, "Man, this is something spiritual. Well, whatever happens, I ain't gonna respond to it. You know, I'm gonna just go around it or go under it or go over it, you know, but I ain't gonna respond to it. I'm gonna give my spirit to whatever happens and, you know, set me back. I'm not interested in that." You know, it would be a lot easier if we could identify the what the Bible calls the what is it called? The wiles of Satan, you know. But faithists are called to bear fruit, you know, bear fruit while we're here on the earth. The earth is our opportunity to bear fruit and to strengthen in our spirit. OAHSPE's broader teachings on labor and discipline, where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increases by the strength of the ox. You know, self-denial, man, is the biggest message here, you know. Self-denial, we in the world, man, the world is really, really stuck on the self. That's the only real, that's a constant message, man. The self, the self, the self, the self, the flesh, the corporal, the material. It is so strong to pull and keep people. I was talking about what happened at the community, at the clinic, the clinic. And the lack of focus, the lack of focus that people can have. The nurses were talking, they were asking me questions, you know, like they would ask me one question. I would go to answer it, and then they would be distracted by something else. And then I would just stop. You know, I would go about answering the question, and then they would be distracted with something else. So I would just stop talking. And then they would come back and ask another question. And so I would start answering the question. And then they would get distracted and I would just stop talking, you know. Whereas ordinarily, I might have had an attitude, you know. But it's just test after test after test. It's test after test after test, man. They pull you one way, pull you down, drag you down, make you mad, give you attitude. You know, the creator, he said, false gods, they do not stop and will not until the very last, I mean, millisecond of their kingdom. That's what our war is, man. When you things, you know, they affect us, they get you, you know, and you get upset, you get angry, man, you get, you know, that's the on purpose. You know, and those nurses didn't even know what they were doing. They were, you know, asking me a question. I'd try to talk and answer it, and they would get distracted and they come ask something different. I'd begin to answer and they get distracted. And you could get mad, you know, but it was a lesson there. And the creator was saying, Deny yourself, man. Deny your desire to be, what's a good word for acknowledged, you know? Fight the need, the desire to be acknowledged, you know? It's really a source of pride. It's spirituality, man. That's a spiritual battle we in, you know? Things to whatever the Drugians can do to lower your grade. It's a never-ending battle, man. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increase is the strength of the ox. Meaning the labor and the discipline. OAHSPE does not quote this proverb directly, but embeds similar wisdom throughout, especially in the book of Discipline, a key doctrinal section guiding principal spiritual living. It emphasizes active labor. If we're going to be on the earth, man, we should labor, you know? Not like we have to get out in some field and just start digging with a shovel, you know? It's like the spiritual, mental labor, man. It just really begins in the mind. I'm learning. That's really where the labor is. The labor, active labor for others as central to resurrection and ascension. Idle purity or isolation leads to little progress, while engaged service, even with this mess of challenges, produces growth in soul and society. When you read Radiance, man, they are constantly begging you to just don't look at results. Don't look at results or think about what others are doing that you are not doing. All you need is to set your soul, man, set your mind, meditate yourself and concentrate yourself on the light, on the creator's light and knowledge, man. Because the weakness of the flesh, I think everybody knows what the weakness of the flesh is, comparing yourself with somebody else. Comparing yourself with nobody has your inner light, man. Your inner light, your inner light, your inner light is what the creator is saying. Listen to that, man. Just listen to that inner light. I'll talk to you there. I know that you want to do right. I know you want to do right, man. You just keep learning and just listening and meditating and concentrating on that inner voice, the silent voice. And then just it's like he's saying, I'll take it from there. Active labor for others is central to resurrection and ascension. Idle purity or isolation leads to little progress, while engaged service, even with its massive challenges, produces growth in soul and society. Because the things they take over in a faithist, it seems that as the light, it takes effect, it takes root in us. You're going to be doing these things. You're going to you're going to change from the inside out, man. Self-discipline, mastery over lower desires, persistent effort toward highest light, persistent effort, man. Jehovah's inspiration. Higher light is Jehovah's inspiration. Renouncing isolated labor is part of the covenant. Renouncing isolated labor is part of the covenant. True progress comes through organized collective effort. That's one of the important, that's why, even meeting together like this, we're like a community of brethren, no matter how small, faithist communities, putting our energy together, agreeing on what the light is, what the will of the creator is. That's got a vibration all itself. That's being aligned with the vortex. It might not seem like it. It might seem like, it's futile. There's no results. But if we look at the flesh, we can think that way. But we're spiritual people, man. We're supposed to understand that there's we going through Ethereal worlds right now, OAHSPE says. Just can't see it because of the flesh. We're going through ethereal worlds, man. Can you imagine that? Beings all around us influencing us, you know, building up rather than mere avoidance of disorder. Souls and communities advance by contributing strength, enduring burdens, creating increase for the whole. So really, even, just by brethren supporting one another silently even is a way of building up the community. We've got the faith is cosmin. These are laboring brethren, having the studies, brethren getting together, and then the Thursday brothers study where they put their voices together. Man. I'm just such a firm believer in how they get together. They put their voices together. I should have his link in the comment section of the video. The description box. Send a brother an email. Thursday, 4:00. He'll send out a link to join them. I just a firm believer, man, putting our voices together, man. I just think if faith has put their voices together, man, I mean, we pray, we pray out loud. And I just know there's an effect in that. But anyway, the ox, man. The ox goes about building up rather than mere avoidance of disorder. Building up, always producing, laboring for others. Souls and communities advance by continuing strength, enduring burdens, creating increase for the whole. We got tall marching orders, man. We got some serious marching orders. Faith is due. Interpretation in OAHSPE of Proverbs 14. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean. This depicts a life or community free of toil. There's no work going on. Conflict or impurity, neat, controlled, and undisturbed. Okay, wait a minute. This is one view, of where no oxen are, the crib is clean. This depicts a life or community free of toil, conflict, or impurity, neat, controlled, undisturbed. In a OAHSPE view, this can symbolize, this is one way of looking at it, withdrawal from the world, aesthetic isolation without service, avoidance of responsibility, organization, or communal labor. Okay, I get it. This is a negative condition right here. That's a negative condition. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean. It's like you got an apartment but no job. So you got no furniture or TV or microwave or anything. There's no increase. This is a negative connotation. If you don't have brethren who are willing to labor, then there's going to be nothing. There's going to be nothing in the crib. Where no oxen are, where there's no labor, that could be a brother in his own spiritual situation. If we don't labor to deal with the tatracks, the lower vibrations, if we don't resist, put on the righteousness of the light, if we don't become oxen, man, in other words, this depicts a life or community free of toil, conflict, or impurity, neat, controlled, undisturbed. But that's a negative condition. In OAHSPE view, this can symbolize withdrawal from the world, ascetic isolation without service. Now, you know who's famous for this? Withdrawal from the world. You know who's famous for this, right? Monks. And they're looked at as holy by the world. Man, look at them guys. They're up in the mountain, man. They don't ever come down in society. All they do is spend their time praying, man. All they do is spend their time praying and drinking soup. OAHSPE says that's a negative condition, man. You separate from the world. I mean, there's a good way to separate from the world, but when you withdraw from the world, aesthetic isolation, you're not benefiting anyone. Avoidance of responsibility, organization, or communal labor. The ox doesn't avoid responsibility, for ourselves or for what we can do. And, that's something, avoidance of responsibility, organization, or communal labor. That communal labor part, all this has to do with labor and discipline, setting your heart, one of the ideas, to spread the light, man, is an honor that only faithists have, because the world doesn't know about this. That's a form of communal labor. A sterile spiritual state with no increase, meaning soul growth, good works, or upliftment of others. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean. A sterile spiritual state with no increase, soul growth, good works, or upliftment of others. Such cleanliness may seem virtuous, but it yields emptiness. OAHSPE critiques false gods and old systems that promoted ritual purity or separation without productive righteousness. But much increases by the strength of the ox. The ox represents diligent, humble, powerful labor aligned with Jehovah's laws. Despite the unclean stalls, meaning the effort, the sacrifice, and dealing with earthly conditions. It plows fields, produces abundance, and sustains life in spiritual terms. And again, you could be the ox and you be the field at the same time, It's easy to think, man, I got to get out here. I got to start this and start that and win a whole bunch of people over and always be working. And I'm always building up and, building great people in our weakness, we can think like that, but spiritually, the emphasis is is us working on our own field, which is us. And then the rest will follow, really. The rest is, the work, the labor, and all the discipline, and that, really, that's pointing to us, to ourselves. And then the results follow. It's a natural outflow. The ox represents diligent, humble, powerful labor aligned with Jehovah's laws. Despite the unclean stalls, the effort, sacrifice, dealing with earthly conditions, it plows fields, produces abundance, and sustains life in spiritual terms. Souls gain increase, higher resurrection, light, brotherhood through active service, charity, and enduring discipline. In the cosmic era, humanity progresses via collective strength. Organized communities like Shalem and OAHSPE. Non-resistant labor for the afflicted and building the Father's kingdom on the earth. Prophets and Iesu, pure examples like Joshua, modeled this. They engaged the world, helped the poor, labored amid opposition, yielding spiritual harvest. OAHSPE's cosmology frames life as a progressive ascension through effort. From corporal, physical, to etherea. OAHSPE's cosmology frames life as progressive ascension through effort. From here on the earth to the upper heavens. Avoiding labor keeps one clean but bound in lower states. And that's Really, that's a sad thing, man. That's a sad thing, because that's the earth, really. That's the earth. Avoiding labor. What's the labor? The labor is to put down the self. Put down the self, put down the beast worship, the beast nature, to become selfless, to be a servant, to depart from old traditions and deities. The labor, that's not an easy thing, man. Break from the past, old traditions that you've been involved in for years. Tell me there's no labor involved in that. Oh, yes, there is, man. That's not easy. If you avoid it, then you're going to stay stagnant in the same condition. Embracing it with pure motive leads to light and at one with Jehovah, meaning to embrace the work of at one with Jehovah. Practical application in the Book of Discipline urges applying oneself to make others' burdens lighter, encouraging strength in fellow man. That's the key right there, man. There's this, we live in a reality where there are people with, the OAHSPE, man. I put on I think it's on my index cards that I like to pass out, or it's on the books on the 6-volume set. On the subtitle, it says, with reasons, answers and reasons for life and living. Answers and reasons for life and living. And the faith message is the only hope for mankind. The OAHSPE message. It's the only message, man. You talk to people, and the source of a lot of their problems is because they don't know how to stop serving themselves. They don't know how to stop serving themselves. They don't have anything to believe in. They don't know how to stop. That's the world we live in, man. People do not know they don't know how to stop serving themselves. But the Creator, He's got us considering how we can serve our brother. That takes the focus off of you. You keep the focus on you day and night, man. It's going to be always something that it makes you upset. It's going to make somebody's going to do something that gets you mad, makes you angry. Guaranteed, man. If you worship the self, if you concentrate on yourself, man, the only way to get rid of that burden or release that pressure, like James Brown would say, is to switch the focus. Switch the focus, man. Switch the focus. The Creator says the key out of prison is to switch the focus from yourself to having the servant's mindset. Switch the focus. Get it off of yourself. The Book of Discipline urges applying oneself to make others' burdens lighter, encouraging strength in fellow man and laboring wisely rather than in isolation. A clean crib is easy but fruitless. The ox, meaning disciplined strength applied in service, brings the true harvest of the cosmic age, universal brotherhood and direct communion with the Creator. And that's what we want. But there's a price to be paid, man. Even in this reality, you're not going to just run up on a woman and say, let's get married. You know what I mean? Someone you really like, you want. It don't work that way, man. There's got to be an investment made. Why can't it be the same way with the Creator? Why can't it be the same way with why must it not be the same way with the Creator? We want a clean crib, but we want the labor of the ox applied, we want what the ox does applied to us, but that's not right, man, and it doesn't benefit who would receive the labor of the ox without working for it. This is the only way, man. We have to, you know what I mean? It's like it makes sense. A clean crib is easy, but it's fruitless. The ox, which is discipline, strength, applied in service, brings the true harvest of the cosmic age. And if I may, now that we're closing the video, let me read this. It says, OAHSPE views the verse as a call to productive engagement over sterile ease. Embrace the work, mess, and strength required for growth, as inaction or isolation produces no lasting spiritual increase. This aligns with the message of moving from old dispensations of avoidance or false order into active, light-filled co-creation with Jehovah. Co-creation with Jehovah. Now, I wanted to, if anyone wants me to drop the link, I'm going to close the video. I'm not looking at the chat. If you want me to drop the link, then type a 1. When I come to the chat, I'll drop the link if you want to have some, you have a comment or anything. But this brings me to I feel a burden to let you, brother, know again about the situation in the world. The situation, I've been listening to a lot of analysts, economic, geopolitical analysts, and they're saying the same thing. The problem is with dwindling resources. We're facing dwindling resources of oil and gas due to the conflagration in the Middle East started by the United States and Israel. There is an alarm of dwindling resources that we have to pay attention to. I don't know exactly how we prepare for it. As faithists, I think that the Creator will take care of us, will see us through this thing. But as somebody here on the earth with you brethren, witnessing what's going on, having the time to study the situation, we are in a really serious situation where things are coming to a head. We are certainly at a situation where things are coming to a head with America, with people in general. Nobody really learns anything until it's too late. And I want to take this opportunity to let you, brother, know that the situation, Walmart and what's that other company that people, there was another big company. Walmart was one, and then there's another company that just came out with a warning that when their marketing shows a trend in a certain area, then they send out like warnings. And what they are doing now is warning about what was the warning about? It was about supply disruption because oil and gas byproducts cover almost anything that you can think of. And since there is a disruption in the Middle East right now, and there is whereas they used to produce like 20 million barrels of oil a day, now they are producing like 7 million. And there are other things that come out of that area that haven't been coming out at all, like liquefied natural gas. And these are shortages that we will now begin to realize. So I think that I'm sharing this because if you are if or I should say that it's a good time to be given to knowing what the will of the Creator is, and to know how to what is it that how we can deal with this situation, because we're going to have to, what's a good word for navigate what's coming ahead. We have to. There's no way around it. And so I don't know exactly what that means for Faithist, but the situation is pretty bad, man. And the coming months, the dwindling supplies are just get lower and lower. I could go into a little more detail about other things, but it's maybe another time I will. But I just want to let brother know that I'm a brother and I see a lot of trouble on the horizon. You probably have heard of it too. So I just hope and pray, man. You know, that Thursday study is a good thing for us to get together on, put our voices together, make our prayer intentions known, and let us put our voices together. And, you know, especially at a time such as now. So, anyway, I think I'll leave it there. All right. So, let me close the screen out and go back to the room and see what's going on, if anything, there. All right. I'm in the chat, and thank you, Brandon, for joining me. Let me see. Oh, man, everybody was here today. All right. I'm going back up so I can greet everybody. I don't know who's still in the room, but let's see. All right. Well, there was a lot of chatting going on today. Tabitha, good to see you. I'm trying to read these posts as I go down real quick. Brother Nazarene, Brother Dwayne, he was in here. Brother Robert Bayer, Joyous, that's the brother who's got the Thursday study. He's over the target, man, you know. He's over the target. We get together, we put our voices together. We state our prayer. Radius Anthology, the angels are begging you to do that, man. They say they use it, they put it in that golden censer, they clean it up, and they submit it to Jehovah. See, Tabitha said the faith is worship of the faith is worship the Creator alone, not God's Lord Savior. Yeah, that's right. All right, so it looks like I covered. There's some new people in here. Yahir, Yaherbe, Israel. Good to see you. I don't know if you're still in. I don't know who's still in the room. Bishop, Kizzy. All right. Looks like I got everybody. Fritz. 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 Brother Omi was in here. Prince, Purple Rain. Increased peace. War is the mark of the beast. That was nice. That's nice. Increased peace. War is the mark of the beast. I like those are lyrical. Oh, okay. Omi said he's going to be uploading videos soon. That's cool. That is cool. That brother's coming back online. Said he's been busy with work. And Sharice, she has 7 children, man. She came in. If you're still in here, sister, was last time when I was trying to, I don't know if you heard me, but you really blessed me, letting me know that you share the 6-volume study set with your children. That really blessed my soul, man. You know, and I want to thank you for telling me that. Oh, you still here? All right. Okay, good enough. That's it for me right now, then. If anybody is listening, and again, you want the 6-volume set of the OAHSPE study guide, the 6-volume set, a supplement to the OAHSPE, get in contact with me. You can get it on Amazon. It's priced as low as it can go. And so but if you're a little short, I understand, I won't judge you. It's important for that information to get out. And so, brethren, join me next week. I think I'm going to do a study on Deuteronomy 28. Yeah. The Hebrew Israelites always talk about Deuteronomy 28, how it points to the Negro. So that's going to really be a blast, man, looking at what the Creator has to say about it. I'm going to do a study on Deuteronomy 28. I think y'all really going to like that, man. I'm looking forward to that. So, brethren, thank you for joining me. I'm going to pray and close it out. Jehovah, thank you for this opportunity, my brethren, to get together. We're facing a time where we're in need of wisdom. And for brethren everywhere, for Faithus, for our individual situation, we ask that you, angels, would minister to us accordingly. We pray for our loved ones. For this time coming, it's a time where people will turn to you or not, either turn to you or turn even more to the world, a separation. Pray for our departed loved ones who are in the spirit world, that they make progress. And while they're in the spirit world now, our departed loved ones, Jehovah, I just give thanks for this opportunity and for calling myself, my brethren, into the light to make the resurrection, and for giving us the strength, the power, the knowledge to endure, even to overcome the whole world. We give thanks for these and many other things that we have not mentioned. Jehovah, thank you. In your name, we give thanks and pray. So let it be. Brethren, thank you for joining me. And until I see you again, peace and blessings, love and light. Shalom.